Cowabunga, y'all. Captain Beard here. Today, let's do a movie review of Rampage that starred Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Now, this movie is based off of the classic arcade game of Rampage, the same title. However, in the arcade version, the origin of the monsters was that a soda company called Scum Soda produced that had mutagen in it that mutated humans into monsters that wreaked rampage onto the cities. And you'd be able to play as George, Lizzie, Ralph, so on and so forth, and there'd be, I think in the arcade game it had like 5 different monsters, but throughout the years they added more and more monsters onto it. Now, I never played the actual arcade game or the arcade game that was released onto the Nintendo, but I do plan on eventually getting that game, because I love Rampage. However, I did play the PlayStation 2 version of Rampage called Total Destruction. This game came out in 2006. So I remember picking it up right out of a Hollywood video rental store and playing it for a solid week, 2 weeks and a half, playing to where I eventually bought it. And then I just recently rebought it because of the Rampage movie just came out. And as you can see, George on the cover is brown on the PlayStation 2 cover, and the arcade games and so on and so forth. But in the movie, he's a white gorilla, probably to distinguish him from Godzilla and other monster movies that star an ape. And on the cover, you can see that you got Ralph and Lizzie as just normal. You got a normal wolf and a normal alligator. And then on the back you can see that there's levels and a squid monster, which I'll come back to towards the end of the video. And great game. All you do is just destroy buildings. Not much of a story to it or anything like that. Which brings me to the movie. Now, I bought the movie on Steelbook. That's a Best Buy exclusive. Comes with this cardboard backing of it, as you can see, with all the scenes and everything, and the description and all that the normal DVD would come. They have to do it in cardboard since it is a Steelbook. And then on the Steelbook, you got Georgie and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Forgot his actual character name. There's a side. There's Lizzie eating a plane. Now on the inside, you got the discs, DVD and Blu-ray. And you also get fantastic artwork of Ralph destroying the city, which I pretty much enjoy. That's why I picked up the DVD version the DVD and Blu-ray version instead of the Blu-ray and 4K version. And plus, I don't have a 4K Blu-ray player or television set just yet. And this movie was produced by Warner Brothers. And when I heard that I was getting released in theaters and all that, I was jazzed, because my whole childhood of playing the PlayStation game and remembering like the arcade game and all that, like watching videos and all that when early days of YouTube were coming out, and like I pretty much grew up with Rampage. Just forgot about it over the years. Once I heard that they were making it with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, I was like, this is going to be great because it's Rampage. And Rampage doesn't have as much of a story. It's just about monsters destroying the city, which is great action movie, monster movie to just pay for it and go see. And now, I talked about the game and all that. Well, the Similarly, in the movie you get monsters that wreak havoc on the city and destroy all of, I think it was Chicago, some big city, and they destroy the city as you do in the games and everything. You even eat people and things like that. You even see George at the very end, spoiler alert, eat a woman in a red dress who is actually also in the game, because there is a bunch of women in a red dress that you see pop up. But in this iteration, they had Georgie eat her at the very end. But that's at the very end of the movie. At the beginning of the movie, you see that instead of it being a soda company that produces this mutagen, it's more of a science-based research that produces this. That does not produce the mutagen, but is doing experiments in space and trying to perfect what they're trying to make, and make it into like science and make it more combat, and mix animal DNA into it and everything. That's why at the very beginning you see them in space and she's having trouble, like the lady in space is having trouble, and then you see like this mutant rat, who is actually another character within the game universe. That is a giant rat that you're able to play as and destroy buildings. And then of course she releases the escape pods, and all three mutagen canisters fall to Earth. One falling into the swamp, for a crocodile to eat, which is Lizzie. You got one to fall into the forest for the Ralph to eat, Wolf. And then you got one that falls into the gorilla habitants for Georgie to pick up. And they made it more of a story for the movie, because movies have to have a story and everything. So they created Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's character to have a connection with George, and to be able to like do sign language with the ape, and to really flesh out the George's character. And same with Liz's character and Ralph's character. Even though they're monsters, they still have somewhat of a character, even though they're not humans like they are in the game. They're animals, which makes the Rampage more believable, because they are animals and they're just wreaking havoc on whatever. And it's good that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's character pretty much teams up with with George, because they have like a mutual bond, and they've been The Rock has been raising George since he was a little baby and everything, and George is just freaking out because he doesn't know what his strength is anymore, and he doesn't know much at all. And then the CIA tries to take the three monsters, so they run into them. Like, it just shows like this whole scene of them try and capture each monster or whatever. They capture George, which causes this big airplane crash, and The Rock to fall, and to team up with a researcher that was originally part of the science team. And then the other monsters are being captured or led to the city, and then you see like the main villain who created the company of the mutagen have a beacon on this tower, which is a major scheme that we've seen in lots of movies, of this tower in the middle of a city that has a beacon, causing some sort of portal or monsters to come. We see it in Ninja Turtles, we saw it in Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man 1, and the list goes on. But it was more refreshing in this because they're actually using it for the monsters to come towards the beacon instead of opening a portal or something. But because of so, like all three monsters were coming towards the city and destroying the city, and it was all a plot just for the company to make more money, to get more awareness, and so on and so forth. And you see another difference as the monsters are being more surfaced and everything, that you realize that they have more enhanced abilities. You got Ralph who can fly. You got Lizzie, who has spikes and can shoot spikes and just is more of a monster. And watching the special features, and they said that they wanted to add more of a scientific route to it, to where the longer that the animal can stay in contact with said mutagen or whatever they're calling it, that they develop more property of different animals that allow them to be more monstrous and all that, which made for a better movie than just them ripping off the game. And so that's the difference, is like each monster has different abilities and can do different things. So it's really cool to like see. And then you got drawbacks to, yeah, the game again. As you see, like in the background, George is just like eating people out of the buildings. You got each monster like just eating different people and just destroying the buildings, climbing up the buildings, going through the buildings, and just completely destroying the buildings. And you got the girl in the red dress getting eaten. So there's lots of callbacks to the game. And there was which makes it a great movie, because they're making it so different from the game, but they're having a bunch of tie-ins, making like the story fit within the game verse, but making it totally different to where it's its own thing, which makes it, to me, a better game movie than past game movies that have come out, or movies that are based on games. Because this one is it flips the whole genre on its head and makes it to where, yeah, it's telling its own story, and it's not only just telling what the game is telling. And with that, some more of the special features show that Dwayne was a huge gamer. He spent like a bunch of money playing the arcade game, some with like a bunch of the cast members. They even got even like the main guy who created the original game to come to help them and everything. And even in the movie, they had a prop replica, or I think it was even the actual arcade game, in the bad guy's laboratory as a Easter egg they can see in the background, and like so they can pay homage to that. And now, and they're like talking about how they want to make it as much of an adaptation, but making it like its own story, and make it more scientific and make it more modern for today's audience, compared to the game that was just to destroy the buildings and everything, and give it more of a backstory and all that, which I'm okay with. Them making the monsters into just animals and giving Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson his own character, and so that way we can feel empathy for George battling them, and then we get like an epic battle scene at the very end of all three monsters fighting, and George just somehow living in. They're trying to find a place for him to go, which is an amazing scene. Everything led up to it. Bunch of destruction, bunch of what I was looking for in the movie. And there's even deleted scenes of a post-credit scene that shows a octopus or a squid coming up underneath this boat as people are diving into the boat, which you can actually see is an actual character from the game, and you can see him right here because he's an actual character from the game. And so it's a deleted scene because they decided not to go with it because they didn't know if they were going to make a sequel, and they wanted to make this like a complete movie. But if they ever do make a sequel, they're obviously going to have the octopus and more monsters within the sequel to do, which will be great to see. Because I am very much looking forward to like a sequel or what other adaptation they want to do of Rampage. And considering that it's been some odd years since the last game of Rampage, I think this is actually the last game was the PlayStation 2 games. So it's been a decade since the console games, and then it's been even longer since the arcade games. And so with them coming up with a movie to pay such a homage to such a classic game, just shows that fans in the community are still productive and still wanting more of like their childhood to come back in. This movie shows that it is time for certain things to come back into modern day. And with that saying, as a person who played the game and enjoyed the movie and everything, I'd rate this movie a 9 out of 10. It's not a perfect 10 because it is not a complete redone of the game, but it is enough of a change in story that makes it for great popcorn film to watch monsters destroy the city and even have like a little bit of plot. And there are some mistakes throughout the movie that are, if you blink you miss it, or if you don't pay attention you miss it. But there is some mistakes that you, after watching like twice, you can kind of catch on to the mistakes and kind of draws you out from the movie. But other than that, it is a 9 out of 10. And I'm sure for those who never played the game or anything like that, like my friends, they'd never even heard of Rampage before then the movie came out. And they even said that the movie was a really good movie and that they want to play the game. So whether you like the movie or not, it is a good way to get people interested in the game, and I'm looking forward to what they will do going on from this movie, whether it's a sequel or a new game or whatnot. But I thoroughly enjoyed Rampage, and if you liked me reviewing movies like this and you want to see more, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And with all that, deuces.